I dedicate this English audiobook of the Bhagavad Gita to my beloved Lord Sri Krishna. Obeisance's Supreme Lord, may your name and fame be sung for time and all eternity. Hare Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 1. Dhritarashtra said, "In the field of right, the Kuru field, assembled, ready to fight, my men and the sons of Pandu as well. What did they do, Samjaya?" Samjaya said, "Seeing, however, the host of the sons of Pandu arrayed, Duryodhana then approached the teacher and spoke a word. The prince, 'Behold, of Pandu's sons, this great host, O teacher, arrayed by Drupad's son, thy skillful pupil. Here are heroes, great archers like unto Bhim and Arjuna in battle, Yuyudan and Virat and Drupad of the great car, Drishtaketu, Chikitan, and the heroic king of Benares, Purujit and Kuntipyoja, and Shaibak, bull of men, Yuramanyu the valorous, and Uttamoja the heroic, the son of Subhadra and the sons of Draupadi, all men of great cars. But of our men who are the most distinguished, learn from me, best of Brahmins, who are the leaders of my host. To name them, I declare them to thee. Thy good self, and Bhishma, Karna, and battle-winning Kripa, Ashvatthama and Vikarna, and the son of Somdat, and many other heroes, giving up life for my sake, with various weapons and arms, all skilled in conflict. Insufficient, this our host is protected by Bhishma. On the other hand, sufficient, this their host is protected by Bhim. And so, in all movements, stationed in your several places, guard Bhishma above all, each and every one of you. Producing joy in his heart, the aged grandsire of the Kurus roared a lion's roar on high and blew his conch shell full of valor. Then conch shells and drums, kettle drums, cymbals, and trumpets all at once were sounded. The sound was tremendous. Then on the white horse yoked, mighty car standing, Madhva and the son of Pandu blew their wondrous conch shells. Rishikesh blew Panchajanya. Dhananjaya blew Devdat. The great shell Pandra blew by Bhim of terrible deeds. The shell Anantavijaya blew by the king Yudhisthira, Kunti's son. Nakul and Sadeva blew Shughosha and Manipushpaka, and the king of Benares, supreme archer, and Sikandhan of the great car, Drishtadyumna and Virat, and the unconquered Satyaki, Drupad and the sons of Draupadi, all together, O king, and the great armed son of Subhadra, blew their conch shells severally. That sound, Dhritarashtra's men's hearts did rend, and both sky and earth it made to resound, swelling aloft. Then seeing arrayed Dhritarashtra's sons, Arjuna, when the clash of arms had already begun, lifted up his bow, the son of Pandu, and to Rishikesh then words like these spoke, O king. Between the two armies halt my chariot, O unshaken one, until I spy these that are drawn up eager to fight, and see with whom I must fight in this warlike enterprise. I will see those who are going to fight, who are here assembled for Dhritarashtra's ill-minded son, eager to do service in battle. Rishikesh, thus addressed by Gurukesha, O son of Bharata, between the two armies halted the excellent car in front of Bhishma and Dropa and all the kings, and said, Son of Pritha, behold these assembled Kurus. There the son of Pritha saw stationed fathers and grandsires, teachers, uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, and comrades too, fathers-in-law and friends as well, in both the two armies. The son of Kunti, seeing them, all his kinsmen arrayed, filled with utmost compassion, despondent, spoke these words. Seeing my own kinsfolk here, Krishna, that have drawn near, eager to fight, my limbs sink down, and my mouth becomes parched, and there is trembling in my body, and my hair stands on end. The bow Gandhava falls from my hand, and my skin, too, is burning, and I cannot stand still. My mind seems to wander, and I see portents that are adverse, Kesava, and I foresee no welfare, having slain my kinfolk in battle. I wish no victory, Krishna, nor kingdom, nor joys. Of what use to us were kingdom, Govinda? Of what use enjoyments or life? For whose sake we desire the kingdom, enjoyments, and happiness, they are drawn up here in battle, giving up life and wealth. Teachers, fathers, sons, grandsires as well, uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other kinsfolk. Them I do not wish to slay, even though they slay me, O slayer of Madhu. Even for 3 worlds' rulership's sake, how much less for the sake of the earth? Having slain Dhritarashtra's men, to us what joy would ensue, Janardana? Evil alone would light upon us, did we slay these our would-be murderers. Therefore, we should not slay Dhritarashtra's men, our own kinsfolk. For how, having slain our kinsfolk, could we be happy, Madhava? Even if they do not see because their intelligence is destroyed by greed, the sin caused by destruction of family, and the crime involved in injury to a friend, how should we not know enough to turn back from this wickedness? The sin caused by destruction of family, perceiving, O Janardana, upon the destruction of the family, perish the immortal holy laws of the family. When the laws have perished, the whole family lawlessness overwhelms also. Because of the prevalence of lawlessness, Krishna, the women of the family are corrupted. When the women are corrupted, O Vrishni, mixture of caste ensues. Mixture of caste leads to naught but hell, for the destroyers of the family and for the family. For their ancestors fall to hell because the rites of giving food and water are interrupted. By these sins of family destroyers, sins which produce caste mixture, the caste laws are destroyed and the eternal family laws. When the family laws are destroyed, Janardana, then for men dwelling in hell certainly ensues. So we have heard from the holy word. Ah, woe! 'Twas a great wickedness that we had resolved to commit, in that, through greed for the joys of kingship, we undertook to slay our kinsfolk. If me, unresisting, weaponless, with weapons in their hands, Dhritarashtra's men should slay in battle, that would be a safer course for me. Thus speaking, Arjuna in the battle sat down in the box of the car, letting fall his bow and arrows, his heart smitten with grief. Here ends the first chapter, called Discipline of Arjuna's Despondency. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 2. Sanjaya said, "To him thus by compassion possessed, his eyes tear-filled, blurred, despondent, this word spoke the slayer of Madhu. The Blessed One said, Whence to thee this faint-heartedness in peril has come, offensive to the noble, not leading to heaven, inglorious, O Arjuna, yield not to unmanliness, Sanaprita. It is not meet for thee, petty weakness of heart, rejecting, arise, scorcher of the foe." Arjuna said, "How shall I in battle against Bhishma and Drona, O slayer of Madhu? Fight with arrows who are both worthy of reverence, slayer of enemies? For not slaying my revered elders of great dignity, 'twere better to eat alms food even in this world, but having slain my elders who seek their ends right in this world, I should eat food smeared with blood. And we know not which of the two were better for us, whether we should conquer or they should conquer us. What very ones having slain, we wish not to live. They are arrayed in front of us, Dhritarashtra's men. My very being afflicted with the taint of weak compassion. I ask thee, my mind bewildered as to the right, which were better that tell me definitely. I am thy pupil, teach me that have come to thee for instruction. For I see not what would dispel my grief, witherer of the senses, if I attained on earth rivalless, prosperous kingship, and even overlordship of the gods." Sanjaya said, thus speaking to Rishikesh, "Gudakesa, the slayer of the foe, I'll not fight," to Govinda said, and was silent. The Blessed One said, "Thou hast mourned those who should not be mourned, and yet thou speakest words about wisdom. Dead and living men, the truly learned, do not mourn, but not in any respect was I ever not, nor thou, nor these kings, and not at all shall we ever come not to be. All of us henceforward. As to the embodied soul in this body, come childhood, youth, old age, so that coming to another body, the wise man is not confused herein. But contacts with matter, son of Kunti, cause cold and heat, pleasure and pain. They come and go and are impermanent. Put up with them, son of Brata. For whom these contacts do not cause to waver, the man, O bull of men, to whom pain and pleasure are alike. The wise, he is fit for immortality. Of what is not, no coming to be occurs. No coming not to be occurs of what is. But the dividing line of both is seen of these two by those who see the truth. But know that that is indestructible, by which this is all pervaded. Destruction of this imperishable one, no one can cause. These bodies come to an end. It is declared of the eternal embodied soul, which is indestructible and unfathomable. Therefore fight, son of Bharata. Who believes him a slayer, and who thinks him slain? Both these understand not. He slays not, is not slain. He is not born, nor does he ever die. Nor having come to be, will he ever more come not to be. Unborn, eternal, everlasting, this ancient one is not slain when the body is slain. Who knows as indestructible and eternal, this unborn, imperishable one? That man, son of Prita, How can he slay or cause to slay? Whom? As leaving aside worn out garments, a man takes other new ones. So leaving aside worn out bodies, to other new ones goes the embodied soul. Swords cut him not, fire burns him not, water wets him not, wind dries him not. Not to be cut is he, not to be burnt is he, not to be wet nor yet dried, eternal, omnipresent, fixed, immovable, everlasting is he. Unmanifest he, unthinkable he, unchangeable he is declared to be. Therefore, knowing him thus, thou shouldst not mourn him. For to one that is born, death is certain, and birth is certain for one that has died. Therefore, the thing being unavoidable, thou shouldst not mourn. The beginnings of things are unmanifest, manifest in their middles, son of Bharata. Unmanifest again their ends. Why mourn about this? By a rare chance one may see him, and by a rare chance likewise another may declare him, and by a rare chance another may hear of him. But even having heard of him, no one whatsoever knows him. This embodied soul is eternally unslayable, in the body of every one, son of Bharata. Therefore, all beings, thou shouldst not mourn. Likewise, having regard for thine own duty, thou shouldst not tremble. For another better thing than a fight required of duty exists not for a warrior. Presented by mere luck, an open door of heaven. Happy the warriors, son of Prita, that get such a fight. Now, if this duty required conflict wilt not perform, then thine own duty and glory abandoning, thou shalt get thee evil. Disgrace, too, will creatures speak of thee without end. And for one that has been esteemed, disgrace is worse than death. That thou hast abstained battle through fear, the warriors of great chariots will think of thee. And of whom thou wast highly regarded, thou shalt come to be held lightly. And many sayings that should not be said, thy ill-wishers will say of thee, speaking ill of thy capacity. What, pray, is more grievous than that? Either slain, thou shalt gain heaven, or conquering, thou shalt enjoy the earth. Therefore, arise, son of Kunti, unto battle, making a firm resolve, holding pleasure and pain alike, gain and loss, victory and defeat. Then gird thyself for battle, thus thou shalt not get evil. That this has been declared to thee in reason method, this mental attitude, but hear this in discipline method, discipline with which mental attitude, son of Prita, thou shalt get rid of the bondage of action. In it there is no loss of a start once made, nor does any reverse occur. Even a little of this duty saves from great danger. The mental attitude, whose nature is resolution, is but one in this world, son of Kuru. For many branched and endless are the mental attitudes of the irresolute. This flowery speech, which undiscerning men utter, who take delight in the words of the Veda, son of Prita, saying that there is nothing else, whose nature is desire, who are intent on heaven, the speech which yields rebirth as the fruit of actions, which is replete with various ritual acts aiming at the goal of enjoyment and power, of men devoted to enjoyment and power, who are robbed of insight by that speech. A mental attitude resolute in nature is not established in concentration. The Vedas have the 3 strands of matter as their scope. Be thou free from the 3 strands, Arjuna, free from the pairs of opposites, eternally fixed in goodness, free from acquisition and possession, self-possessed. As much profit as there is in a water tank when on all sides there is a flood of water, no more is there in all the Vedas for a Brahman who truly understands. On action alone be thy interest, never on its fruits. Let not the fruits of action be thy motive, nor be thy attachment to inaction. Abandoning attachment, being indifferent to success or failure, discipline is defined as indifference. For action is far inferior to discipline of mental attitude. In the mental attitude, seek thy religious refuge. Wretched are those whose motive is the fruit of action. The disciplined in mental attitude leaves behind in this world both good and evil deeds. Therefore, discipline thyself unto discipline. Discipline in actions is weal. For the disciplined in mental attitude, actions produced, fruit abandoning, the intelligent ones, free from the bondage of rebirth, go to the place that is free from illness. When the jungle of delusion thy mentality shall get across, then thou shalt come to aversion, toward what is to be heard and what has been heard in the Vedas. Adverse to traditional lore, when shall stand motionless thy mentality, immovable in concentration, then thou shalt attain discipline. Arjuna said, "What is the description of the man of stabilized mentality that is fixed in concentration, Kesava? How might the man of stabilized mentality speak? How might he sit? How walk?" The Blessed One said, "When he abandons desires, all that are in the mind, Sanaprita, finding contentment by himself, in the self alone, then he is called of stabilized mentality. When his mind is not perturbed in sorrows, and he has lost desire for joys, his longing, fear, and wrath departed, he is called a stable-minded holy man. Who has no desire towards anything, and getting this or that, good or evil, neither delights in it, nor loathes in it, his mentality is stabilized. And when he withdraws as a tortoise his limbs from all sides, his senses from the objects of sense, his mentality is stabilized. The objects of sense turn away from the embodied one that abstains from food, except flavor. Flavor also from him turns away when he has seen the highest. Even for one who strives, son of Kunti, of the man of discernment, the impetuous senses carry away the mind by violence. Them all restraining, let him sit disciplined, intent on me. For whose senses are under control, his mentality is stabilized. When a man meditates on the objects of sense, attachment to them is produced. From attachment springs desire. From desire, wrath arises. From wrath comes infatuation. From infatuation, loss of memory. From loss of memory, loss of mind. From loss of mind he perishes. But with desire and loathing severed, senses acting on the objects of sense, with senses self-controlled, he, governing his self, goes unto tranquility. In tranquility of all griefs, riddance is engendered for him. For the tranquil-minded quickly the mentality becomes stable. The undisciplined has no right mentality, and the undisciplined has no efficient force. Who has no efficient force has no peace. For him that has no peace, how can there be bliss? For the senses are roving, and when the thought organ is directed after them, it carries away his mentality, as wind a ship on the water. Therefore, whosoever great armed one has withdrawn on all sides the senses from the objects of sense, his mentality is stabilized. What is night for all beings, therein the man of restraint is awake. Wherein other beings are awake, that is night for the sage of vision. It is ever being fulfilled, and yet its foundation remains unmoved. The sea, just as waters enter it, whom all desires enter in that same way, he attains peace, not the man who lusts after desires. Abandoning all desires, what man moves free from longing? Without self-interest and egotism, he goes to peace. This is the fixation that is Brahmanic, Sanaprita. Having attained it, he is not again confused, abiding in it even at the time of death. He goes to Brahman Nirvana. Here ends the second chapter, called Discipline of Reason Method. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3. Arjuna said, "If more important than action the mental attitude is held of thee, Janardana, then why to violent action dost thou enjoin me, Kesava? With words that seem confused, thou apparently bewilderest my intellect. So tell me one thing definitely whereby I may attain welfare." The Blessed One said, "In this world, a twofold basis has been declared by me of old, Blameless One. By the discipline of knowledge of the followers of reason method, and by the discipline of action by the followers of discipline method. Not by starting actions does a man attain actionless, and not by renunciation alone does he go to perfection. For no one, even for a moment, remains at all without performing actions, for he is made to perform action willy-nilly. Everyone is, by the strands that spring from material nature. Restraining the action senses, who sits pondering with his thought organ on the objects of sense with deluded soul, he is called a hypocrite. But whoso the senses with thought organ controlling, O Arjuna, undertakes discipline of action with the action senses unattached to the fruits of action, he is superior. Perform thou action that is required, for action is better than inaction, and even the maintenance of the body for thee cannot succeed without action. Except action for the purpose of worship, this world is bound by actions. Action for that purpose, son of Kunti, perform thou, free from attachments to its fruits." After creating creatures along with worship, the Creator said of old, "By this ye shall procreate yourselves. Let this be your cow of wishes. With the prosper ye of gods, and let the gods prosper you, thus prospering one the other. Ye shall attain the highest welfare. For desired enjoyments to you the gods will give, prospered by worship. Without giving to them their gifts, whoso enjoys is nothing but a thief. Good men who eat the remnants of food offered in worship are freed from all sins. But those wicked men eat evil, who cook for their own selfish sakes. Beings originate from food. From the rain god, food arises. From worship comes the rain god. Worship originates in action. Action arises from Brahman, no, and Brahman springs from the imperishable. Therefore, the universal Brahman is eternally based on worship. the wheel thus set in motion. Who does not keep turning in this world, malignant, delighting in the senses? He lives in vain, son of Pritha. But who takes delight in the self alone? The man who finds contentment in the self, and satisfaction only in the self. For him there is found no action to perform. He has no interest whatever in action done, nor any in action not done in this world. Nor has he, in reference to all beings, any dependence of interest. Therefore, unattached ever, perform action that must be done. For performing action without attachment, man attains the highest. For only through action, perfection attained Janaka and others. Also for the mere control of the world, having regard, thou shouldst act. Whatsoever the noblest does, just that in every case other folk do. What he makes his standard, that the world follows. For me, Senapritha, there is nothing to be done in the three worlds whatsoever. Nothing unattained to be attained, and yet I still continue in action. For if I did not continue at all in action, unwearied, my path would follow men altogether, Senapritha. Folks would perish if I did not perform action, and I should be an agent of confusion. I should destroy these creatures, fools attached to action, as they act, son of Bharata. So the wise man should act unattached, seeking to effect the control of the world. Let him not cause confusion of mind in ignorant folk who are attached to action. He should let them enjoy all actions, the wise man himself acting disciplined. Performed by material nature's strands are actions altogether. He whose soul is deluded by the I faculty imagines I am the agent. But he who knows the truth, great armed one, about the separation of the soul from both the strands and action, the strands act upon the strands. Knowing this is not attached to actions. Deluded by the strands of material nature, men are attached to the actions of the strands. These dull folk of imperfect knowledge, the man of perfect knowledge should not disturb. On me all actions casting, with mind on the oversoul, being free from longing and from selfishness, fight, casting off thy fever. Who this my doctrine constantly follow, such men full of faith and not murmuring, they too are freed from the effect of actions. But those who, murmuring against it, do not follow my doctrine, them, deluded in all knowledge, know to be lost, the fools. One acts in conformity with his own material nature, even the wise man. Beings follow their own nature. What will restraint accomplish? Of every sense upon the objects of that sense, longing and loathing are fixed. One must not come under control of these two, for they are his two enemies. Better one's own duty, though imperfect, than another's duty well performed. Better death in doing one's own duty. Another's duty brings danger. Arjuna said, "Then by what impelled does this man commit sin, even against his will, Vrishni clansman, as if driven by force?" The Blessed One said, "It is desire, it is wrath arising from the strand of passion, all-consuming, very sinful. Know that this is the enemy here. As fire it is obscured by smoke, and as a mirror by dirt, as the embryo is covered by its membrane envelope, so this universe is obscured thereby." By this is obscured the knowledge of the knowing one, by this his eternal foe, that has the form of desire, son of Kunti. And this is an insatiable fire. The senses, the thought organ, the consciousness are declared to be its basis. With these it confuses the embodied soul, obscuring his knowledge. Thou, therefore, the senses first controlling, O Balapratas, smite down this evil one that destroys theoretical and practical knowledge. The senses, they say, are high. Higher than the senses is the thought organ, but higher than the thought organ is the consciousness, while higher than the consciousness is he, the soul, thus being conscious of that which is higher than consciousness, steadying the self by the self, smite the enemy, great armed one, that has the form of desire and is hard to get at. Here ends the third chapter, called Discipline of Action. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 4. The Blessed One said, "This discipline to Vivasta I proclaimed, 'tis eternal." Vivasta told it to Manu. Manu spoke it to Ishvaku. Thus received in line of succession, the royal seers knew it. In a long course of time in this world, this discipline became lost, scorcher of the foe. This very same by me to thee today, this ancient discipline is proclaimed. Thou art my devotee and friend. That is why, for this is a supreme secret. Arjuna said, "Later thy birth, earlier the birth of Vivast. How may I understand this, that thou didst proclaim it in the beginning, as thou sayest?" The Blessed One said, "For me have passed many births, and for thee, Arjuna, these I know all. Thou knowest not, scorcher of the foe. Though unborn, though myself is eternal, the Lord of beings, resorting to my own material nature, I come into being by my own mysterious power. For whenever the right a languishing appears, son of Bharata, a rising up of unright, then I send myself forth, for protection of the good, and for destruction of evildoers, to make a firm footing for the right, I come into being in age after age. My wondrous birth and actions, whoso knows thus as they truly are, on leaving the body to rebirth, he goes not. To me he goes, Arjuna, rid of passion, fear, and wrath, made of me, taking refuge in me. Many by the austerity of knowledge, purified, have come to my estate. In whatsoever way any come to me, in that same way I grant them favor. My path follow men altogether, son of Prita. Desiring the success of acts, they worship the deities in this world. For quickly in the world of men comes the success that springs from ritual acts. The four-caste system was created by me, with distinctions of strands and actions appropriate to each. Although I am the doer of this, know me as the one that eternally does no act. Actions do not stain me, because I have no yearning for the fruits of actions. Who comprehends me thus is not bound by actions. Knowing this, action was done also by the ancient seekers of salvation. Therefore, do thou simply do actions as was done of old by the ancients. What is action? What inaction? About this, even sages are bewildered. So I shall explain action to thee, knowing which thou shalt be freed from evil. For one must understand the nature of action on the one hand, and must understand the nature of misaction, and must understand the nature of inaction. Hard to penetrate is the course of action. Who sees inaction in action, and action in inaction, he is enlightened among men. He does all actions disciplined. All whose undertakings are free from the desire and purpose, his actions burnt up in the fire of knowledge, him the wise call the man of learning. Abandoning attachment to the fruits of action, constantly content, independent, even when he sets out upon action, he yet does nothing whatsoever. Free from wishes, with mind and soul restrained, abandoning all possessions, action with the body alone performing, he attains no guilt. Content with getting what comes by chance, passed beyond the pairs of opposites, free from jealousy, indifferent to success and failure, even acting, he is not bound. Rid of attachment, freed, his mind fixed in knowledge, doing acts for worship only, his action all melts away. The sacrificial presentation is Brahman. Brahman is the oblation. In the sacrificial fire of Brahman, it is poured by Brahman. Just to Brahman must he go, being concentrated upon the sacrificial action that is Brahman. To naught but sacrifice to the deities, some disciplined men devote themselves in the sacrificial fire of the Brahman. Others, the sacrifice offer up by the sacrifice itself, the senses, hearing, and the rest. Others offer up in the fires of restraint the objects of sense, sound, and the rest. Others offer up in the fires of the senses, all actions of the senses, and actions of the breath. Others in the fire of discipline of control of self offer up, when it has been kindled by knowledge, sacrificers with substance, sacrificers with austerities, sacrificers with discipline likewise are others, and sacrificers with study of the sacred word, and with knowledge, religious men with strict vows. In the nether life breath, the upper life breath offer up. Others, likewise, the nether in the upper life breath, checking the courses of the upper and nether life breaths, intent upon restraint of the breath. Others restrict their food and offer up the life breaths in the life breaths. All these know what sacrifice is, and their sins are destroyed by sacrifice. Those who eat the nectar of the leavings of the sacrifice go to the eternal Brahman. Not even this world is for him who does not sacrifice. How then the next, O best of the Kurus? Thus many kinds of sacrifice are spread out in the face of Brahman. Know that they all spring from action. Knowing this, thou shalt be freed. Better than sacrifice that consists of substance is the sacrifice of knowledge, scorcher of the foe. All action without remainder, Sanaprita, is completely ended in knowledge. Learn to know this by obeisances to those who can teach it, by questioning them, by serving them. They will teach thee knowledge. Those who have knowledge, who see the truth, knowing which not again to bewilderment in this manner shalt thou go, son of Pandu, whereby all beings without exception thou shalt see in thyself, and also in me. Even if thou art of sinners, the worst sinner of all, merely by the boat of knowledge, all the sea of evil shalt thou cross over. As firewood, a kindled fire reduces to ashes, Arjuna. The fire of knowledge all action reduces to ashes, even so. For not like unto knowledge is any purifier found in this world. This the man perfected in discipline himself, in time finds in himself. The man of faith gets knowledge, intent solely upon it, restraining his senses, having got knowledge to supreme peace, in no long time he goes. The man unknowing and without faith, his soul full of doubt, perishes. Not is this world, nor the next, nor bliss for him whose soul is full of doubt. Him that has renounced actions in discipline, that has cut off his doubt with knowledge, the self-possessed no actions bind, O Dhananjaya. Therefore, this that springs from ignorance, that lies in the heart, with the sword of knowledge, thine own doubt cutting off to discipline, resort, arise, son of Bharata. Here ends the 4th chapter, called Discipline of Knowledge. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 5. Arjuna said, Renunciation of actions, Krishna, and again discipline thou approvest. Which one is the better of these two? That tell me definitely. The Blessed One said, Renunciation and discipline of action both lead to supreme weal, but of these two, rather than renunciation of action, discipline of action is superior. He is to be recognized as in effect forever renouncing action, who neither loathes nor craves. For he that is free from the pairs of opposites, great armed one, is easily freed from bondage, otherwise caused by action. Of reason method and discipline as separate, fools speak, not the wise. Resorting to even one of them completely, man wins the fruit of both. What place is gained by the followers of reason method that is reached also by the followers of discipline method? That reason method and discipline are one. Who truly sees, he truly sees. But renunciation, great armed one, is hard to attain without discipline. Disciplined in discipline, to Brahman the sage goes in no long time. Disciplined in discipline, with purified self, self-subdued, with senses overcome, his self become one with the self of all beings, even acting he is not stained. I am in effect doing nothing at all, so the disciplined man should think, knowing the truth. When he sees, hears, touches, smells, eats, walks, sleeps, breathes, talks, evacuates, grasps, opens and shuts his eyes. The senses only on the objects of sense are operating, holding fast to this thought, casting all actions upon Brahman. Whoso acts abandoning attachment, evil does not cleave to him, as water does not cleave to a lotus leaf. With the body, the thought organ, the intelligence, and also with the senses alone, disciplined men perform action, abandoning attachment unto self-purification. The disciplined man, abandoning the fruit of actions, attains abiding peace. The undisciplined, by actions due to desire, attached to the fruit of action, is bound. All actions with the thought organ renouncing, he sits happily in control. The embodied soul in the citadel of 9 gates, not in the least acting nor causing to act, neither agency nor actions of the people of the world does the Lord instigate, nor the conjunction of actions with their fruits, but inherent nature operates in all this. He does not receive the effect of anyone's sin, nor yet good deeds, the Lord. Knowledge is obscured by ignorance. By that creatures are deluded. But if by knowledge that ignorance of men's souls is destroyed, their knowledge, like the sun, illuminates that highest. Their consciousness and soul fixed on that highest, with that as their final goal, supremely devoted to that, they go to the state whence there is no more return, their sins destroyed by knowledge. In a knowledge and cultivation perfected Brahman, a cow, an elephant, and in a mere dog and an outcast, the wise see the same thing. Right in this world they have overcome birth, whose mind is fixed in indifference, for Brahman is flawless and indifferent. Therefore they are fixed in Brahman. He will not rejoice on attaining the pleasant, nor repine on attaining the unpleasant. With stabilized mentality, unbewildered, knowing Brahman, he is fixed in Brahman. With self unattached to outside contacts, when he finds happiness in the self, his self-disciplined in Brahman discipline, attains imperishable bliss. For the enjoyments that spring from the outside contacts are nothing but sources of misery. They have beginning and end, son of Kunti. The wise man takes no delight in them. Who can control right in this life before being freed from the body, the excitement that springs from desire and wrath? He is disciplined. He, the happy man, who finds his happiness within, his joy within, and likewise his light only within. That disciplined man to Brahman nirvana goes, having become Brahman. Brahman nirvana is won by the seers whose sins are destroyed, whose doubts are cleft, whose souls are controlled, who delight in the welfare of all beings. To those who have put off desire and wrath, religious men whose minds are controlled, close at hand, Brahman nirvana comes to knowers of the self. Putting out outside contacts and fixing the sight between the eyebrows, making even the upper and nether breaths as they pass through the nose, controlling the senses, thought organ, and intelligence, the sage bent on final release, whose desire, fear, and wrath are departed, who is ever thus is already released, the recipient of worship and austerities, the great Lord of the whole world, the friend of all beings, me knowing, he goes to peace. Here ends the 5th chapter, called Discipline of Renunciation of Actions. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 6. The Blessed One said, "Not interested in the fruit of action, who does action that is required by religion. He is the possessor of both renunciation and discipline of action, not he who builds no sacred fires and does no ritual acts. What they call renunciation, know that that is discipline of action, son of Pandu. For not without renouncing purpose does anyone become possessed of discipline. For the sage that desires to mount to discipline action is called the means. For the same man, when he has mounted to discipline, quiescence is called the means. For when not to the objects of sense, nor to actions he is attached, renouncing all purpose, then he is said to have mounted to discipline. One should lift up the self by the self, and should not let the self down, for the self is the self's only friend, and the self is the self's only enemy. The self is a friend to that self by which self, the very self, is subdued. But to him that does not possess the self, in enmity will abide his very self, like an enemy. Of the self-subdued, pacified man, the supreme self remains concentrated in absorption, in cold and heat, pleasure and pain. Likewise, in honor and disgrace. His self satiated with theoretical and practical knowledge, immovable, with subdued senses, the possessor of discipline is called truly disciplined, to whom clods, stones, and gold are all one, to friend, ally, foe, remote, neutral, holder of middle ground, object of enmity and kinsman, to good and evil men alike, who has the same mental attitude is superior. Let the disciplined man ever discipline himself, abiding in a secret place, solitary, restraining his thoughts and soul, free from aspirations and without possessions, in a clean place establishing a steady seat for himself, that is neither too high nor too low, covered with a cloth, a skin, and kunsa grass, there fixing the thought organ on a single object, restraining the activity of his mind and senses. Sitting on the seat, let him practice discipline unto self-purification. Even body, head, and neck holding motionless, keeping himself steady, gazing at the tip of his own nose, and not looking in any direction. With tranquil soul, rid of fear, abiding in the vow of chastity, controlling the mind, his thoughts on me, let him sit disciplined, absorbed in me. Thus ever disciplining himself, the man of discipline with controlled mind, to peace that culminates in nirvana, and rests in me attains. But he who eats too much has no discipline, nor he who eats not at all, neither he who is overgiven to sleep, nor yet he who is ever wakeful, Arjuna. Who is disciplined in food and recreation, and has disciplined activity in works, and is disciplined in both sleep and wakefulness, to him belongs discipline that bans misery. When the thought controlled settles on the self alone, the man free from longing for all desires is then called disciplined. As a lamp stationed in a windless place flickers not, this image is recorded of the disciplined man controlled in thought, practicing discipline of the self. When the thought comes to rest, checked by the practice of discipline, and when the self by the self, contemplating, he finds satisfaction in the self, that supernal bliss, which is to be grasped by the consciousness and is beyond the senses. When he knows this and not in the least swerves from the truth, abiding, fixed in it, and which having gained other gain, he counts none higher than it, in which established by no misery, however grievous, is he moved. This state, let him know, from conjunction with misery, the disjunction is known as discipline. With determination must be practiced this discipline, with heart undismayed. The desires that spring from purposes abandoning, all without remainder, with the thought organ alone, the throng of senses, restraining altogether, little by little, let him come to rest through the consciousness, held with firmness, keeping the thought organ fixed in the self. He should think on nothing at all, because of whatsoever thing strays the thought organ, fickle and unstable, from every such thing holding it back, he shall bring it into control in the self alone. For to him, when his thought organ is tranquil, to the disciplined one, supreme bliss approaches, his passion stilled, becomes one with Brahman, stainless, thus ever disciplining himself, the disciplined man, free from stain, easily to contact with Brahman, to endless bliss attains. Himself as in all beings, and all beings in himself, sees he who's self-disciplined in discipline, who sees the same in all things, who sees me in all, and sees all in me. For him I am not lost, and he is not lost for me. Me as abiding in all beings, whoso reveres, adopting the belief in oneness, though abiding in any possible condition, that disciplined man abides in me. By comparison with himself in all beings, whoso sees the same, Arjuna, whether it be pleasure or pain, he is deemed the supreme disciplined man. Arjuna said, "This discipline, by which thee has explained as indifference, slayer of Madhu, thereof I do not see any permanent establishment because of man's fickleness. For fickle is the thought organ, Krishna, impetuous, mighty, and hard. The restraining of it, I conceive, is very difficult, as of the wind. The Blessed One said, without doubt, great armed one, the thought organ is hard to control and fickle, but by practice, son of Kunti, and by ascetic aversion, it may be controlled. For one not self-controlled, discipline is hard to reach, I believe. But by the self-controlled man who strives, it may be attained through the proper method. Arjuna said, an unsuccessful striver who is endowed with faith, whose mind falls away from discipline without attaining perfection of discipline, to what goal does he go, Krishna? Fallen from both, does he not perish like a cloven cloud, having no religious foundation, great armed one, gone astray on Brahman's path? This matter my doubt, O Krishna, be pleased to cleave without remainder. Other than thee of this doubt, no cleaver surely can be found. The Blessed One said, Son of Pritha, neither in this world nor in the next does any destruction of him occur. For no doer of the right comes to a bad end, my friend. Attaining the heavenly worlds of the doers of right, dwelling there for endless years in the house of pure and illustrious folk. One that has fallen from discipline is born, or else the possessors of discipline, rather enlightened folk. In their family he comes into existence. For this is yet harder to attain, such a birth as that in the world. There that association of mentality he obtains, which was his in his former body, and he strives from that point onward unto perfection, son of Kuru. For by that same former practice he is carried on even without his wish. Even one who merely wishes to know discipline transcends the Vedic religion, but striving zealously with sins cleansed, the disciplined man, perfected through many rebirths, then finally goes to the highest goal. The man of discipline is higher than men of austerities. Also than men of knowledge he is held to be higher. And the man of discipline is higher than men of ritual action. Therefore, be a man of discipline, Arjuna. Of all men of discipline, moreover, with inner soul gone to me, whoso reveres me with his faith, him I hold the most disciplined. Here ends the 6th chapter, called Discipline of Meditation. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 7. The Blessed One said, with mind attached to me, son of Pritha, practicing discipline with reliance on me, without doubt me entirely how thou shalt know, that here, theoretical knowledge to thee along with practical I shall now expound completely. Having known which, in this world, no other further thing to be known is left. Among thousands of men, perchance one strives for perfection. Even of those that strive and are perfected, perchance one knows me in very truth. Earth, water, fire, wind, ether, thought organ and consciousness, and I faculty. Thus my nature is divided eightfold. This is my lower nature, but other than this, my higher nature know. It is the life soul, great armed one, by which this world is maintained. Beings spring from it, all of them, be assured. Of the whole world I am, the origin and the dissolution too. Than me no other higher thing whatsoever exists. On me all this universe is strung like heaps of pearl on a string. I am taste in water, son of Kunti. I am light in the moon and sun. The sacred syllable Om in all the Vedas. Sound in ether, manliness in men. Both the goodly odor in earth and brilliance in fire am I. Life in all beings and austerity in ascetics am I. The seed of all beings am I, the eternal, be assured, Sanaprita. I am intelligence of the intelligence, majesty of the majestic am I. Mighty of the mighty am I, too, free from desire and passion, not inconsistent with right in creatures I am desire, Obesabratas. Both whatsoever states are of goodness, and those of passion, and darkness too. Know that they are from me alone. But I am not in them. They are in me. By the three states, composed of the strands, these, all this world, deluded, does not recognize me that am higher than they and eternal. For this is my divine strand, composed, trick of illusion, hard to get past. Those who resort to me alone penetrate beyond this trick of illusion. Not to me do deluded evildoers resort. Base men, whom this illusion robs of knowledge, who cleave to demonic estate. Fourfold are those that worship me. Virtuous folk, Arjuna, the afflicted, the knowledge seeker, he who seeks personal ends, and the possessor of knowledge, bull of Bharatas. Of these, the possessor of knowledge, constantly disciplined, of single devotion is the best. For extremely dear to the possessor of knowledge am I, and he is dear to me. All these are noble, but the man of knowledge is my very self. So I hold, for he with disciplined soul has resorted to me alone as the highest goal. At the end of many births, the man of knowledge resorts to me, who thinks Vasudeva, Krishna is all. That noble soul is hard to find, deprived of knowledge by this or that desire. Men resort to other deities, taking to this or that rule, constrained by their own nature. Whatsoever form any devotee with faith seeks to worship, for every such devotee, faith unswerving, I ordain that same to be. He, disciplined with that faith, seeks to propitiate that divine being and obtains therefrom his desires, because I myself ordain them. but finite fruition for them that becomes. Since they are of scant intelligence, the worshippers of the gods go to the gods. My devotees go to me also. Unmanifest, as having come into manifestation, fools conceive me, not knowing the higher essence of me, which is imperishable, supreme. I am not revealed to everyone, being veiled by my magic trick of illusion. 'Tis deluded and does not recognize me, the unborn, imperishable, this world. I know those that are past and that are present, Arjuna, and beings that are yet to be, but no one knows me. It arises from desire and loathing, the delusion of the pairs of opposites, son of Bharata. Because of it, all beings to confusion are subject at their birth, scorcher of the foe. But those whose sin is ended, men of virtuous deeds, freed from the delusion of the pairs, revere me with firm resolve. Unto freedom from old age and death, those who strive, relying on me. They know that Brahman entire and the oversoul and action all together, me together with the overbeing and the overdivinity and with the overworship, whoso know, and who know me even at the hour of death. They truly know me with disciplined hearts. Here ends the 7th chapter, called Discipline of Theoretical and Practical Knowledge. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 8. Arjuna said, "What is that Brahman? What the oversoul? What is action, O best of men? And what is called the overbeing? What is said to be the overdivinity? How and what is the overworship here in this body, slayer of Madhu? And how at the hour of death art thou to be known by men of self-control?" The Blessed One said, "Brahman is the supreme imperishable. The oversoul is called innate nature, that which causes the origin of states of beings. The creative force is known as action. The overbeing is the perishable condition of being, and the spirit is the overdivinity. The overworship am I myself, here in the body, O best of embodied ones. At the hour of death, on me alone meditating, leaving the body, whoso dies, to my estate he goes. There is no doubt of that. Whatsoever state of being meditating upon, he leaves the body at death. To just that he goes, son of Kunti, always being made to be in the condition of that. Therefore, at all times, think on me and fight with thought organ and consciousness fixed on me. Thou shalt go just to me without a doubt. If disciplined in the discipline of practice be one's mind, straying to no other object, to the supreme divine spirit he goes, son of Pritha, meditating thereon. The ancient seer, the governor, finer than an atom, who meditates on him, the establisher of all, of unthinkable form, sun-colored, beyond darkness. At the time of death, with unswerving thought, disciplined with devotion and the power of discipline, making the breath to enter altogether between the eyebrows, he goes to that supreme divine spirit, which Veda knowers call the imperishable, which ascetics, free from passion, enter, seeking which men live the life of chastity. That place I shall declare to thee in brief. Restraining all the gates of the body and confining the thought organ in the heart, fixing his own breath in his head, resorting to fixation of discipline, the single syllable Brahman, which is Om, pronouncing, and meditating on me, who departs, leaving the body, he goes to the highest goal, with thoughts ever straying to no other object, who thinks on me constantly. For him I am easy to gain, son of Prita. For the ever-disciplined possessor of discipline, having come to me, rebirth, which is the home of misery and impermanent, do not attain the great-souled men that have gone to supreme perfection. As far as the world of Brahman, the worlds are subject to recurring existences, Arjuna. But having come to me, son of Kunti, no rebirth is found. As compassing 1,000 world ages, when they know the day of Brahman, and the night of Brahman as compassing 1,000 ages, those folk know what day and night are. From the unmanifest, all manifestations come forth at the coming of Brahman's day, and dissolve at the coming of night, in that same one known as the unmanifest. This very same host of beings coming into existence over and over is dissolved at the approach of night, willy-nilly, son of Prita, and comes forth at the approach of day. But higher than that is another state of being, unmanifest, higher than that, unmanifest, eternal, which when all things perish, perishes not. This unmanifest is called the indestructible. It they call the highest goal, attaining which they return not. That is my highest station. This is the Supreme Spirit, son of Prita, to be won. However, by unswerving devotion within, which all beings are fixed, by which this universe is pervaded, but at what times to non-return, and when to return, disciplined men dying depart. Those times I shall declare, Bull of Bharatas. Fire, light, day, the bright lunar fortnight, the 6 months that are northward course of the sun, dying in these go to Brahman, Brahman-knowing folk. Smoke, night, also the dark lunar fortnight, the 6 months that are southward course of the sun. In these, when he dies, to the moon's light attaining, the disciplined man returns. For these two paths, light and dark, are held to be eternal for the world. By one man goes to non-return, by the other he returns again. Knowing these two paths, son of Prita, not is any disciplined man confused. Therefore, at all times be disciplined in discipline, Arjuna. In the Vedas, in acts of worship, and in austerities, in alms gifts, what fruit of merit is ordained, all that surpasses he who knows this, the man of discipline, and goes to the highest primal place. Here ends the 8th chapter, called Discipline of the Imperishable Brahman. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 9. The Blessed One said, "But this most secret thing to thee I shall declare, since thou cavillest not this theoretical knowledge, joined with practical knowing, which thou shalt be freed from evil. A royal science, a royal mystery, a supreme purifier is this, immediately comprehensible, righteous, easy to carry out, imperishable. Men who put no faith in this religious truth, scorcher of the foe, do not attain me and return on the path of endless rounds of death. By me is pervaded all this universe. By me, in the form of the unmanifest, all beings rest in me, and I do not rest in them. And yet beings do not rest in me. Behold my divine mystery or magic. Supporter of beings and not resting in beings is myself that causes beings to be. As constantly abides in the ether the great wind that penetrates everywhere, so all beings abide in me. Make sure of that. All beings, son of Kunti, pass into my material nature at the end of a world eon. Them again I send forth at the beginning of a new world eon, taking as base my own material nature. I send forth again and again this whole host of beings, which is powerless by the power of my material nature. And me these actions do not bind, sitting in as one sitting out, participating as one indifferent, unattached to these actions. With me as overseer, material nature brings forth the world of moving and unmoving. By this motive force, son of Kunti, the world goes around. Fools despise me that have assumed human form, not knowing the higher state of me, which is the great Lord of beings. They are vain aspirations of vain actions, of vain knowledge, bereft of insight, in ogreish and demonic nature, which is delusive, they abide. But 'tis me, son of Prita, that great-souled men, abiding in godlike nature, revere with unswerving thoughts. Knowing me as the beginning of beings, the imperishable, ever glorifying me, and striving with firm resolve, and paying homage to me with devotion. Constantly disciplined, they wait upon me. With knowledge worship, also others worshiping, wait upon me. In my unique and manifold forms, me as variously manifested, facing in all directions. I am the ritual act. I am the act of worship. I am the offering to the dead. I am the medicinal herb. I am the sacred formula. I alone am the sacrificial butter. I am the fire of offering. I am the poured oblation. I am the father of this world, the mother, the establisher, the grandsire, the object of knowledge, the purifier, the sacred symbol Om, the verse of praise, the chant, and the sacrificial formula. The goal, supporter, Lord, witness, the dwelling place, refuge, friend, the origin, disillusion and maintenance, the treasure house, the imperishable seed. I give heat, the rain I hold back and send forth, both immortality and death, both the existent and the non-existent am I, Arjuna. The 3 Veda men, Soma drinkers, purified of sin, me with ritual worshipping, seek to go to heaven. They, attaining the meritorious world of the Lord of gods, taste in the sky the divine enjoyment of the gods. They, after enjoying the expansive world of heaven, when their merit is exhausted, enter the world of mortals, thus conforming to the religion of the 3 Vedas. Men who lust after desires get that which comes and goes. Thinking on me with no other thought, what folk wait upon me? To them, when they are constant in perseverance, I bring acquisition and peaceful possession of their aim. Even those who are devotees of other gods and worship them permeated with faith, it is only me, son of Kunti, that even they worship, though not in the enjoined fashion. For I, of all acts of worship, am both the recipient and the Lord, but they do not recognize me in the true way. Therefore they fall from the heaven they win. Votaries of the gods go to the gods. Votaries of the departed fathers go to the fathers. Worshippers of goblins go to the goblins. Worshippers of me also go to me. A leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water. Who presents to me with devotion, that offering of devotion I accept from the devout souled giver. Whatsoever thou doest, whatsoever thou eatest, whatsoever thou offerest in oblation or givest, whatsoever austerity thou performest, son of Kunti, that do as an offering to me. Thus from what have good and evil fruits thou shalt be freed, from the bonds of action. Thy soul disciplined in the discipline of renunciation, freed thou shalt go to me. I am the same to all beings. No one is hateful or dear to me, but those who revere me with devotion. They are in me, and I too am in them. Even if a very evil doer reveres me with single devotion, he must be regarded as righteous in spite of all, for he has the right resolution. Quickly his soul becomes righteous, and he goes to eternal peace. Son of Kunti, make sure of this. No devotee of mine is lost. For if they take refuge in me, son of Prita, even those who may be of base origin, women, men of the artisan caste, and serfs too, even they go to the highest goal. How much more virtuous Brahmins and devout royal seers too? A fleeting and joyless world this. Having attained it, devote thyself to me. Be me-minded, devoted to me, worshipping me, pay homage to me. Just to me thou shalt go, having thus disciplined thyself, fully intent on me. Here ends the 9th chapter, called Discipline of Royal Knowledge and Royal Mystery. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 10. The Blessed One said, "Yet further, great armed one, hear my highest message, which to thee that delightest in it I shall declare, and that I wish thee well. The throngs of God know not my origin, nor yet the great seers. For I am the starting point of the gods, and the great seers all together. Whoso me, the unborn and beginningless, knows, the great Lord of the world, undiluted, he among mortals is freed from all evils. Enlightenment, knowledge, non-delusion, patience, truth, control, peace, pleasure, pain, arising, passing away, fear and fearlessness too. Harmlessness, indifference, content, austerity, generosity, fame and ill repute. All conditions of beings arise from me alone, however various their nature. The 7 great seers of old, the 4 Manus likewise, originate from me, as my mental offspring, from whom spring these creatures in the world, the supernatural manifestation and mystic power of mine. Whoso knows in very truth, he with unswerving discipline is disciplined. There is no doubt of that. I am the origin of all. From me, all comes forth. Knowing this, they revere me, enlightened men, pervaded with the proper state of mind, with thoughts on me, with life concentrated on me, enlightening one another and telling constantly of me. They find contentment and joy. To them, constantly disciplined, revering me with love, I give that discipline of mind, whereby they go unto me. To show compassion to those same ones, their ignorance-born darkness I dispel, while remaining in my own true state, with the shining light of knowledge. Arjuna said, the supreme Brahman, the supreme station, the supreme purifier art thou, the eternal divine spirit, the primal deity, the unborn Lord. Call thee all the seers, and the divine Narada, Asita Devala, and Vyasa, and thou thyself declarest it to me. All this I hold to be true, which thou sayest to me, Kasava. For thy manifestation, Blessed One, neither the gods nor the demons know. Thine own self, by thyself alone, knowest thou, highest of spirits. Cause of beings, Lord of beings, God of gods, Lord of the world. Declare then fully, I pray thee, for marvelous are the supernal manifestations of thyself, with which manifestation the worlds here pervading, thou abidest ever. How may I know thee, thou of mystic power, ever meditating on thee, and in what several states of being art thou to be thought of by me, Blessed One? In full detail, thine own mystic power and supernal manifestation, Janardana, expound further, for satiety comes not to me as I listen to thy nectar. Come then, I shall tell thee, since my supernal manifestations are marvelous. Regarding the chief ones, best of Kurus, there is no end to my extent. I am the soul, Gudakesa, that abides in the heart of all beings. I am the beginning and the middle of beings, and the very end too. Of the Adityas I am Vishnu, of lights the radiant sun. Of Maruts I am Marichi, of stars I am the moon. Of Vedas I am Samaveda, Of gods, I am Vasava. Of sense organs, I am the thought organ. Of beings, I am the intellect. And of Rudras, I am Samkara. Of sprites and ogres, I am the Lord of Wealth. Of the 8 Vasus, I am the fire god. Of mountain peaks, I am Meru. Of house priests, the chief am I. The priest god, know thou, son of Pritha. Of army lords, I am Skanda. Of bodies of water, I am the ocean. Of great sages, I am Burgu. Of utterances, I am the one syllable Om. Of acts of worship, I am the muttered worship. Of mountain ranges, Himalaya, the holy fig tree of all trees. Of divine sages, Narada. Of Gandharvas, Siddhartha. Of perfected beings, the seer Kapila. Ukraisavas of horses, sprung from the nectar. Know me to be of princely elephants, Airavata, and of men, the king. Of weapons, I am Vajra. Of cows, I am the cow of wishes. I am the generating Kandarpa. Of serpents, I am Vasuki. And I am Ananta of the Nagas. I am Varuna of water creatures. Of departed fathers, I am their chief god, Aryaman. I am Yama, god of death, of subduers. Of demons, I am their prince, Prahlada. I am time of impellent forces. Of beasts, I am the king of beasts. I am the son of Venata, Garuda, Vishnu's bird of birds. I am the wind of purifiers, Rama of warriors. I am the dolphin of water monsters. Of rivers, I am the Ganges. Of creations, the beginning and the end, and the middle too am I, Arjuna. Of knowledges, the knowledge of the oversoul. I am speech of them that speak. Of letters, I am the letter A. And the Dvandva of compounds. None but I am immortal time. I am the ordainer, with faces in all directions. I am death that carries off all, and the origin of things that are to be. Of feminine entities, I am fame, fortune, speech, memory, wisdom, steadfastness, patience. Likewise, of chance, the great chance. The Gayatri am I of meters. Of months, Magasirsa am I. Of seasons, the flower bearer, spring. I am gambling of rogues. I am majesty of the majestic. I am conquest. I am the spirit of adventure. I am courage of the courageous. Of the Vrishni clansmen, I am Vasudeva. Of the sons of Pandu, Arjuna. Of hermits, also I am Vyasa. Of sages, the sage Usanas. I am the punitive force of stern controllers. I am statecraft of them that seek political success. Taciturnity too am I of secret things. I am knowledge of the knowing. Moreover, whatsoever of all beings is the seed, that am I, Arjuna. There is none such as could be without me, no being, moving or unmoving. There is no end to my marvelous, supernal manifestations, scorcher of the foe. But I have now declared by way of examples the extent of my supernal manifestations. Whatever being shows supernal manifestations or majesty or vigor, be thou assured that in every case is sprung from a fraction of my glory. After all this extensive instruction, what boots it thee, Arjuna? I support this entire world with a single fraction of myself, and remain so. Here ends the 10th chapter, called Discipline of Supernal Manifestations. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 11. Arjuna said, "As a favor to me, the supreme mystery, called the Oversoul, the words which thou hast spoken, thereby this delusion of mine is dispelled. For the origin and dissolution of beings have been heard by me in full detail from thee, lotus petal-eyed one, and also thine exalted nature unending. Thus it is as thou declarest thyself, O Supreme Lord. I desire to see thy form as God, O Supreme Spirit. If thou thinkest that it can be seen by me, O Lord, Prince of mystic power, then do thou to me reveal thine immortal self." The Blessed One said, "Behold my forms, son of Pritha, by hundreds and by thousands, of various sorts, marvelous, of various colors and shapes. Behold the Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, the Asvin pair, and the Maruts too. Many before unseen marvels behold, son of Bharata. Hear the whole world united. Behold today, with moving and unmoving things. In my body, Gudakesa, and whatsoever else thou wishest to see. But thou canst not see me with this same eye of thine own. I give thee a supernatural eye. Behold, my mystic power as God." Samjaya said, "Thus speaking then, O King, Hari, Vishnu, the great Lord of mystic power, showed unto the son of Pritha his supernatural form as God. Of many mouths and eyes, of many wondrous aspects, of many marvelous ornaments, of marvelous and many uplifted weapons, wearing marvelous garlands and garments, with marvelous perfumes and ointments, made up of all wonders, the God, infinite, with faces in all directions, of 1,000 suns in the sky. If suddenly should burst forth the light, it would be like unto the light of that exalted one. The whole world there united and divided, manyfold, beheld in the God of God's body, the son of Pandu then. Then filled with amazement, his hair standing upright, Dhananjaya bowed with his head to the God and said with a gesture of reverence. Arjuna said, "I see the gods in thy body, O God, all of them, and the hosts of various kinds of beings too. Lord Brahma sitting on the lotus seat, and the seers all, and the divine serpents, with many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes. I see thee, infinite in form on all sides. No end, nor middle, nor yet beginning of thee do I see, O all God, all formed, with diadem, club, and disk, a mass of radiance, glowing on all sides. I see thee, hard to look at on every side, with the glory of flaming fire and sun, immeasurable. Thou art the imperishable, the supreme object of knowledge. Thou art the ultimate resting place of this universe. Thou art the immortal guardian of the eternal right. Thou art the everlasting spirit I hold. Without beginning, middle, or end of infinite power, of infinite arms, whose eyes are the moon and the sun, I see thee, whose face is flaming fire, burning this whole universe with thy radiance. For this region between heaven and hell is pervaded by thee alone, and all the directions. Seeing this, thy wondrous, terrible form, the triple world trembles, O exalted one. For into thee are entering yonder throngs of gods. Some affrighted praise thee with reverent gestures, crying, "Hail!" The throngs of great seers and perfected ones praise thee with abundant laudations. The Rudras, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadyas, all gods, Asvins, Maruts, and the steam drinkers, the hosts of heavenly musicians, sprites, demons, and perfected ones, gaze upon thee, and all are quite amazed. Thy great form of many mouths and eyes, O great armed one, of many arms, thighs, and feet, of many bellies, terrible with many tusks. Seeing it, the worlds tremble, and I too. Touching the sky, a flame of many colors, with yawning mouths and flaming enormous eyes. Verily, seeing thee so, my inmost soul is shaken, and I find no steadiness nor peace, O Vishnu. And thy mouths, terrible with great tusks, no sooner do I see them like the fire of dissolution of the world, than I know not the directions of the sky, and I find no refuge. Have mercy, Lord of gods, thou in whom the world dwells, and thee, yonder sons of Dhritarashtra, all of them together with the hosts of kings, Bhishma, Drona, and yonder sons of the charioteer Karna too, together with our chief warriors likewise. Hastening enter thy mouths, frightful with tusks and terrifying. Some, stuck between the teeth, are seen with their heads crushed, as the many water torrents of the rivers rush headlong towards the single sea, so yonder heroes of the world of men into thy flaming mouths do enter. As moths into a burning flame do enter unto their destruction with utmost impetuosity, just so unto their destruction enter the worlds into thy mouths also with utmost impetuosity. Devouring them, thou lickest up voraciously on all sides, all the worlds with thy flaming jaws, filling with radiance the whole universe. Thy terrible splendors burn, O Vishnu. Tell me, who art thou of awful form? Homage be to thee, best of gods. Be merciful, I desire to understand thee, the primal one, for I do not comprehend what thou hast set out to do. The Blessed One said, I am death, cause of destruction of the worlds, matured and set out to gather in the worlds here. Even without thee, thy action, all shall cease to exist, the warriors that are drawn up in the opposing ranks. Therefore, arise thou, win glory, conquer thine enemies, and enjoy prospered kingship. Be me, myself, They have already been slain long ago. Be thou the mere instrument, left-handed archer. Drona and Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna too, and the other warrior heroes as well. Do thou slay, since they are already slain by me. Do not hesitate. Fight, thou shalt conquer thy rivals in battle. Samjaya said, hearing these words of Kasava, making a reverent gesture, trembling, Arjuna made obeisance and spoke yet again to Krishna, stammering, greatly affrighted. Bowing down, Arjuna said, it is in place, Rishikesh, that at thy praise the world rejoices and is exceedingly glad. Ogres fly in terror in all directions, and all the hosts of perfected ones pay homage. And why should they not pay homage to thee, exalted one? Thou art greater than even Brahman. Thou art the first creator. O infinite Lord of gods, in whom the world dwells. Thou, the imperishable, existent, non-existent, and beyond both. Thou art the primal God, the ancient spirit. Thou art the supreme resting place of this universe. Thou art the knower, the object of knowledge, and the highest station. By thee the universe is pervaded, thou of infinite form. Vayu, Yama, Agni, Varuna, the moon, Prajapati art thou, the great grandsire. Homage, homage be to thee 1,000-fold, and again be yet further homage, homage to thee. Homage be to thee from in front and from behind. Homage be to thee from all sides, thou all. O thou of infinite might, thy prowess is unmeasured. Thou attainest all, therefore thou art all. Whatever I said rashly, thinking thee my boon companion, calling thee Krishna, Yadava, companion, not knowing the truth of thy greatness, through careless negligence or even through affection. And if I treated thee disrespectfully to make sport of thee in the course of amusement, resting, sitting, or eating, either alone, O unshaken one, or in the presence of others. For that I beg forgiveness of thee, the immeasurable one. Thou art the Father of the world, of things that move and move not, and thou art its revered, most venerable Guru. There is no other like thee. How then a greater? Even in the 3 worlds, O thou of matchless greatness. Therefore, bowing and prostrating my body, I beg grace of thee, the Lord, to be revered, as a father to his son, as a friend to his friend, as a lover to his beloved. Be pleased to show mercy, O God. Having seen what was never seen before, I am thrilled, and at the same time, my heart is shaken with fear. Show me, O God, that same form of thine as before. Be merciful, Lord of gods, abode of the world. Wearing the diadem, carrying the club, with disc in hand, just as before, I desire to see thee in that same 4-armed shape. Present thyself, O 1,000-armed one of universal form. The Blessed One said, by me showing grace towards thee, Arjuna, this supreme form has been manifested by my own mysterious power. This form, made up of splendor, universal, infinite, primal, of mine, which has never been seen before by any other than thee. Not by the Vedas, by acts of worship, or study, or gifts, nor yet by rites, nor by grim austerities in the world of men can I, in such a form, be seen by any other than thee, hero of the Kurus. Have no perturbation nor any state of bewilderment, seeing this so awful form of mine. Dispel thy fear, let thy heart be of good cheer. Again, do thou behold that same form of mine here. Samjaya said, having thus spoken to Arjuna, Vasudeva again revealed his natural form and comforted him in his fright by once more assuming his gracious aspect, the exalted one. Arjuna said, seeing this human form of thine, gracious, O Janardana, now I have become possessed of my senses and restored to normal state. The Blessed One said, this form that is right hard to see which thou hast seen of mine, of this form even the gods constantly long for the sight. Not by the Vedas, nor by austerity, nor by gifts or acts of worship can I be seen in such a guise as thou hast seen me, but by unswerving devotion can I, in such a guise, Arjuna, be known and seen in very truth, and entered into, scorcher of the foe, doing my work, intent on me, devoted to me, free from attachment, free from enmity to all beings. Who is so goes to me, son of Pandu. Here ends the 11th chapter called Discipline of the Vision of the Universal Form. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 12. Arjuna said, those who are thus constantly disciplined and revere thee with devotion, and those also who revere the imperishable unmanifest, of these, which are the best knowers of discipline? The Blessed One said, fixing the thought organ on me, those who me revere with constant discipline, pervaded with supreme faith, them I hold to be the most disciplined. But those who the imperishable, undefinable, unmanifest revere, the omnipresent and unthinkable, the immovable, unchanging, fixed, restraining the throng of the senses, with mental attitude alike to all, they also reach none but me, delighting in the welfare of all beings. Greater is the toll of them that have their hearts fixed on the unmanifest. For with difficulty is the unmanifest goal attained by embodied souls. But those who all actions casting on me, intent on me, with utterly unswerving discipline, meditating on me, revere me, for them, I, the Savior from the sea of the round of deaths, become right soon, son of Prita, when they have made their thoughts enter into me. Fix thy thought organ on me alone. Make thy consciousness enter into me, and thou shalt come to dwell even in me. Hereafter, there is no doubt of this. But if to fix thy thought steadfastly on me thou art not able, with the discipline of practice then seek to win me, Dhanamjaya. If thou hast no ability even for practice, be wholly devoted to work for me. For my sake, also actions performing, thou shalt win perfection. But if even this thou art unable to do, resorting to my discipline, abandonment of the fruit of all actions, do thou then effect, controlling thyself. For knowledge is better than practice, and meditation is superior to knowledge, and abandonment of the fruit of actions is better than meditation. From abandonment comes peace immediately. No hater of all beings, friendly and compassionate, free from selfishness and I faculty, indifferent to pain and pleasure. Patient, the disciplined man who is always content, whose self is controlled, of firm resolve, whose thought and consciousness are fixed on me, who is devoted to me, he is dear to me. He before whom people do not tremble, and who does not tremble before people, from joy, impatience, fear, and agitation, who is free, he too is dear to me. Unconcerned, pure, capable, disinterested, free from perturbation, abandoning all undertakings, who is devoted to me is dear to me, who neither delights nor loathes, neither grieves nor craves, renouncing good and evil objects, who is full of devotion, he is dear to me. Alike to foe and friend, also to honor and disgrace, to cold and heat, joy and sorrow, alike freed from attachment, to whom blame and praise are equal, restrained in speech, content with anything that comes, having no home, of steadfast mind, full of devotion, that man is dear to me. But those who this nectar of duty revere as it has now been declared, having faith in it, intent on me, those devotees are beyond measure dear to me. Here ends the 12th chapter, called Discipline of Devotion. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 13. The Blessed One said, "This body, son of Kunti, is called the field. Who knows this? He is called field knower by those who know him. Know also that I am the field knower. In all fields, son of Bharata, knowledge of the field and field knower, this I hold to be true knowledge. This field, what it is, and of what nature, what its modifications, and whence which one is derived, and who he, the field knower, is, and what his powers are, that hear from me in brief. This has been sung in many ways by the seers in various Vedic hymns severally, and also in words of aphorisms about Brahma in the Upanishads, well reasoned and definite. The gross elements, the I faculty, the consciousness, and the unmanifest, the senses, 10 and 1, and the 5 objects on which the senses of perception play: desire, loathing, pleasure, pain, association, intellect, steadfastness. This in brief as the field is described with its modifications: absence of pride and deceit, harmlessness, patience, uprightness, service of a teacher, purity, firmness, self-control, aversion to the objects of sense, and absence of I faculty. As regards birth, death, old age, disease, and sorrow, a perception of their evils, absence of attachment, and of great affection for sons, wife, house, and the like, and constant indifference of mind, whether desired or undesired things occur, with single-minded discipline towards me, devotion unswerving, cultivation of solitary places, dislike for a crowd of people, constancy in the knowledge of the Oversoul, perception of the object of knowledge of the truth. This all is called knowledge. Ignorance is what is other than that. What is the object of knowledge that I shall declare, knowing which one attains freedom from death? It is the beginningless Brahman, ruled by me. Neither existent nor non-existent, it is called. It has hands and feet on all sides, eyes, heads, and faces on all sides, hearing on all sides in the world, and it remains constantly, enveloping all, having the semblance of the qualities of all the senses, yet freed from all the senses, unattached, and yet maintaining, free from the strands, yet experiencing the strands of matter, outside of beings and within them, unmoving and yet moving. Because of its subtleness, it cannot be comprehended. Both far away and near it is, both undivided in beings, and seemingly divided it remains. Both as the supporter of beings it is to be known, and as their consumer and originator. Of lights it is also the light. Beyond darkness, so 'tis declared, knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the goal of knowledge, it is settled in the heart of all. Thus the field, and also knowledge, and the object of knowledge have been declared in brief. My devotee, understanding this, attains unto my estate. Both material nature and the spirit, know thou, are equally beginningless. Both the modifications and the strands, know thou, spring from material nature. In anything that concerns effect, instrument, or agent, material nature is declared the cause. The spirit, in pleasure and pains experiencing, is declared the cause. For the spirit, abiding in material nature, experiences the strands born of material nature. Attachment to the strands is the cause of his births in good and evil wombs. The onlooker and consenter, the supporter, experiencer, great Lord. The Supreme Soul also is declared to be the highest spirit in this body. Whoso thus knows the spirit and material nature along with its strands, though he exist in any condition at all, he is not reborn again. By meditation in the self, see some the self by the self, others by discipline of reason, and others by discipline of action. But others, not having this knowledge, hearing it from others, revere it. Even they also, nevertheless, cross over death, devoted to the holy revelation which they hear. Insofar as it is produced, any creature, stationary or moving, from union of field and field knower, know that is sprung, best of Bharatas. Alike in all beings, abiding the Supreme Lord, not perishing when they perish. Who sees him, he truly sees. For seeing in all the same Lord established, he harms not himself by himself. Then he goes to the highest goal, both that by material nature alone actions are performed altogether, who sees, and likewise That self is not the doer he truly sees. When the various states of beings he perceives as abiding in one, and from that alone their expansion, then he attains Brahman, because he is beginningless and free from the strands. This supreme self, imperishable, even abiding in the body, son of Kunti, acts not, nor is he stained by actions, as because of its subtleness, the omnipresent ether is not sustained by contact with the other elements. Abiding in every body, the self is not stained likewise. As alone illuminates this whole world, the sun, so the field owner, the whole field illuminates, son of Bharata. Thus between the field and the field knower, the difference, with the eye of knowledge and release from the material nature of beings, those who know these, they go to the highest. Here ends the 13th chapter, called Discipline of Distinction of Field and Field Knower. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 14. The Blessed One said, "Further I shall declare the highest knowledge, the best of all knowledges, knowing which all saints have gone from this world to supreme perfection, having resorted to this knowledge, come to a state of likeness with me. Even at a world creation they do not come to birth, nor at a dissolution are they disturbed. For me, great Brahman is a womb. Therein I plant the germ. The origin of all beings comes from that, son of Bharata. In all wombs, son of Kunti, whatsoever forms originate, of them great Brahman is the womb. I am the father that furnishes the seed. Goodness, passion, and darkness, the strands that spring from material nature bind, O great armed one, in the body, the immortal, embodied soul. Among these goodness, because it is stainless, is illuminating and free from disease. It binds by attachment to bliss, and by attachment to knowledge, blameless one. Know that passion is of the nature of desire. Springing from thirst and attachment, it, son of Kunti, binds the embodied soul by attachment to actions. But know that darkness is born of ignorance. The deluder of all embodied souls, by heedlessness, sloth, and sleep, it binds, son of Bharata. Goodness causes attachment to bliss, passion to action, son of Bharata. But darkness, obscuring knowledge, causes attachment to heedlessness likewise. Prevailing over passion and darkness, goodness comes to be, son of Bharata. Passion prevailing over goodness and darkness likewise, and so darkness prevailing over goodness and passion. In all of the gates in this body, an illumination appears, which is knowledge. When that happens, then one shall know also that goodness is dominant. Greed, activity, the undertaking of actions, unrest, longing, these are produced when passion is dominant, bull of the Bharatas. Unillumination and inactivity, heedlessness, and mere delusion, these are produced when darkness is dominant, son of Kuru. But when under dominance of goodness, the body bearing soul goes to dissolution, then the worlds of them that know the highest, the spotless worlds, he attains. Going to dissolution, in dominance of passion, he is born among those attached to actions, and so, when dissolved in dominance of darkness, he is born in deluded wombs. Of action, well done, they say. The fruit is spotless and of the nature of goodness. But the fruit of passion is pain. The fruit of darkness is ignorance. From goodness is born knowledge. From passion, greed, rather, heedlessness, and delusion. From darkness arise, and ignorance. Those that abide in goodness go on high. The men of passion remain in the middle, abiding in the scope of the base strand. The men of darkness go below. No other agent than the strands, when the beholder perceives and knows the higher than the strands, he goes unto my estate, transcending these three strands that spring from the body, the embodied soul, from birth, death, old age, and sorrow, freed, attains deathlessness. Arjuna said, by what marks, when these three strands he has transcended, is he characterized, O Lord? What is his conduct, and how those three strands does he get beyond? The Blessed One said, both illumination and activity and delusion, son of Pandu, he does not loathe when they have arisen, nor crave when they have ceased. Sitting as one sitting apart, indifferent, who is not perturbed by the strands, thinking the strands operate only, who remains firm and is unshaken, to whom pain and pleasure are alike, abiding in the self, to whom clods, stones, and gold are all one, to whom loved and unloved are equal, wise, to whom blame and praise of himself are equal, alike to honor and disgrace, alike to parties of friend and foe, abandoning all undertakings. He is called the man that has transcended the strands. And whoso me with unswerving discipline of devotion serves, he, transcending these strands, is fit for becoming Brahman. For I am the foundation of Brahman, the immortal and imperishable, and of the eternal right, and of absolute bliss. Here ends the 14th chapter, called Discipline of Distinction of the Three Strands. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 15. The Blessed One said, with roots aloft and branches below, the eternal people tree, they say, whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. Who knows it, he knows the Veda. Below and upward extend its branches, nourished by the strands, with the objects of sense as sprouts. Below also are stretched forth its roots, resulting in actions in the world of men. Its form is not thus comprehended here in the world, nor its end, nor beginning, nor basis. This peepal tree, with its firmly grown roots, cutting with the stout axe of detachment. Then that place must be sought to which having gone men no more return, thinking, I take refuge in that same primal spirit whence issued forth of old the whole cosmic activity, without pride or delusion, victors over the sin of attachment, constant in the oversoul, their desires departed, freed from the pairs known as pleasure and pain. Undiluted men go to that eternal place. The sun does not illuminate that, nor the moon, nor fire, having gone to which they return not. That is my highest station. A part just of me in the world of the living becomes the individual soul, the eternal, the five senses, with the thought organ as sixth, which rests in material nature it draws along. When he acquires a body, and also when he departs from it, the Lord moves, taking them along as the wind odors from their home. Hearing, sight, and touch, taste, and smell, making use of these, and the thought organ, he devotes himself to the objects of sense. As he departs from the body, or remains in it, or experiences sense objects, while attended by the strands, deluded men do not perceive him. Those whose eye is knowledge perceive him. Him also men of discipline earnestly striving perceive located in their self. But even though they strive, those whose self is unperfected perceive him not, the fools. The splendor that belongs to the sun, which illuminates the whole world, and that which is in the moon and in fire, know that to be my splendor. And entering into the earth, all beings I maintain by my power, and I nourish all plants, becoming the juicy soma. I, becoming the digestive fire of all men, dwelling in the body of all living beings, in union with the upper and nether breaths, digest their food of all four sorts. I am entered into the heart of every one. From me come memory, knowledge, and disputation. I alone am that which is to be known by all the Vedas, and I am the author of the Upanishads and the Vedas knower. Here in the world are two spirits, the perishable and the imperishable. The perishable is all beings. The imperishable is called the immovable. But there is a highest spirit other than this, called the Supreme Soul, which entering into the three worlds supports them, the undying Lord. Since I transcend the perishable and am higher than the imperishable too, therefore in the world and the Veda I am proclaimed as the highest spirit. The man who undiluted thus me knows as the Supreme Spirit. He knows all and devotes himself to me with his whole being, son of Bharata. Thus the most secret science has now been declared by me, blameless one. Being enlightened as to this, a man would have true enlightenment and would have done all there is to do, son of Bharata. Here ends the 15th chapter, called Discipline of the Highest Spirit. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 16. The Blessed One said, fearlessness, purification of essence, steadfastness in the discipline of knowledge, generosity, control, and religious worship, study of the holy word, austerities, uprightness, harmlessness, truth, no anger, abandonment, serenity, no backbiting, compassion towards creatures, no greedy desire, gentleness, modesty, no fickleness, majesty, patience, fortitude, purity, no injuriousness, no excessive pride are the qualities of him that to the divine lot is born, son of Bharata. Hypocrisy, arrogance, overweening pride, wrath and harshness of speech, too, and ignorance are the qualities of him that is born to the demonic lot, son of Preta. The divine lot leads to release. The demonic lot is considered to lead to bondage. Be not aggrieved. To the divine lot thou art born, son of Pandu. There are two creations of beings in this world, the divine and the demonic. The divine has been explained at length. Hear from me of the demonic, son of Preta. Both activity and its cessation demonic folk know not. Neither purity, nor yet good conduct, nor truth is found in them. Without truth, without religious basis, they say is the world without a God, not originating in regular mutual causation. In short, motivated by desire alone. Holding fast to this view, men of lost souls, of scant intelligence, spring up, committing cruel deeds unto the ruin of the world, noxious folk, clinging to insatiable desire, filled with hypocrisy, arrogance, and pride, through delusion, taking up false notions, they proceed with unclean undertakings. To limitless care that lasts until death they are devoted. They make the enjoyment of desires their highest aim, convinced that that is all. Bound by hundreds of bonds of longing, devoted to desire and wrath. In order to enjoy desires, they seek hoardings of wealth by wrong means. This I have gained today. This desire I shall get. Mine is this, and mine also this. Wealth again is going to be. Yonder enemy has been slain by me, and I shall slay others too. I am Lord. I control enjoyments. I am successful, mighty, happy. I am rich, of noble birth. Who else is like unto me? I shall sacrifice and give gifts and rejoice. Thus they shall say, deluded by ignorance, led astray by many fancies, enveloped by the snares of delusion, intent on the enjoyment of desires, they fall to a foul hell. Self-conceited, haughty, full of pride and arrogance of wealth. They do acts of religious worship in name alone, hypocritically, not according to the Vedic injunctions. Egotism, force, pride, desire, and wrath they have taken to. Me in their own and others' bodies hating, these envious men. These cruel and hateful base men in the ceaseless round of existences, These wicked ones I constantly hurl into demonic wombs alone. Having come into a demonic womb, deluded in birth after birth, not by any means attaining me, son of Kunti, they go to the lowest goal. This is of hell the threefold gate, and ruins the soul, desire, wrath, and greed. Hence one should abandon these three. Freed, son of Kunti, from these three gates of darkness, a man does what is good for his soul. Then he goes to the highest goal. Whoso neglects the law's injunction and lives according to his own willful desires, he does not attain perfection, nor bliss, nor the highest goal. Therefore, let the law be thy austerity in determining what should and should not be done. Knowing action laid down in the law's injunctions, thou shouldst do such action in this world. Here ends the 16th chapter, called Discipline of Distinction Between Divine and Demonic Acts. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 17. Arjuna said, "Those who, neglecting the law's injunction, perform acts of worship filled with faith, what, however, is their basis, Krishna? Goodness, or passion, or darkness?" The Blessed One said, "Of three kinds is the faith of embodied souls. It springs from their original nature. It is characterized by goodness, or passion, or darkness. Hear how it is. In accord with the essential nature of every man is his faith, son of Bharata. Man here is made up of faith. As a man's faith is, just so is he. Men of goodness worship the gods. Men of passion, sprites and ogres. To ghosts and the hordes of goblins, others, the folk of darkness, pay worship. Not enjoined in the law, cruel austerities, folk who practice them, wedded to hypocrisy and egotism, filled with desire, passion, and violence, starving within the body the conglomerate of elements, the fools, and starving me, myself, who am within the body, know that they have demonic resolve. But the food also of every man, beloved, is of three kinds. Likewise, their worship, austerities, and gifts. Hear now the distinction between them. Life, courage, strength, good health, happiness, and satisfaction increasing. Tasty, rich, substantial, and heart-gladdening. Such foods are beloved by the man of goodness. Pungent, sour, salty, very hot, sharp, astringent, heating. Such foods are desired of the man of passion. They cause pain, misery, and sickness. Spoiled, its taste lost. Putrid and stale, leavings and also filth. Such food is beloved of the man of darkness. By men who are not desirous of fruits. Worship, which is offered as contemplated by injunctions, with the thought that it is simply one's duty to offer it, the mind concentrating, that is, of goodness. But with a view to the fruit, and also if for mere hypocritical ostentation it is offered, O best of Bharatas, that worship know to be of passion, in which no injunction is observed, nor food given out, no holy texts recited, nor sacrificial fee paid. Devoid of faith, such worship, they say, is of darkness. To gods, Brahmins, revered elders, and wise men, respectful homage, purity, uprightness, chastity, and harmlessness, this is called austerity of the body. Words that cause no disturbance, that are true and pleasingly beneficial. Also, practice of recitation and study of sacred texts. This is called austerity of speech. Serenity of mind, kindliness, silence, self-control, and purification of being. This is called austerity of mind. With the highest faith performed, this threefold austerity by men, not seeking fruits and discipline, they call austerity of goodness, with a view to respect, honor, and reverence. And with sheer hypocrisy, what austerity is performed, that is called in this world austerity of passion. It is insecure and impermanent. If with deluded notions or with self-torture, austerity is performed, or in order to destroy another, that is declared to be of darkness. The gift which with the mere thought one must give is given to one that does no return favor, at the proper place and time, to a worthy person. That gift is said to be of goodness. But what in order to get a return favor, or with a view to the fruit as well, or when it hurts to give is given, that gift is said to be of passion. What gift at the wrong place and time, and to unworthy persons is given, without suitable marks of respect, and with contempt, that is declared to be of darkness. Om, Tat, Sat. Thus the designation of Brahman, threefold, is recorded. Thereby Brahmins and Vedas and acts of worship were fashioned of old. Therefore, after pronouncing Om, acts of worship, gift, and austerity are undertaken as prescribed in Vedic injunctions, always on the part of students of Brahman. With Tat, and without aiming at fruits, acts of worship and austerity, and acts of giving of various sorts are performed by men that seek release. In the meaning of real, and in the meaning of good, the word sat is employed. Likewise, of a laudable action, the word sat is used, sanaprita. Also, in the matter of worship, austerity, and giving, steadfastness is called sat, and actions for such purposes as those is likewise called sat, or good. Oblation offered, or gift given without faith, or austerity or action thus performed, is called asat, not sat, not good. Sanaprita, it is not hereafter and not in this world. Here ends the 17th chapter, called Discipline of Distinction of Three Kinds of Faith. The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 18. Arjuna said, "Of renunciation, great armed one, I desire to know the truth, and of abandonment, Rishikesh, severally, slayer of Kesan." The Blessed One said, "The renouncing of acts of desire, sages call renunciation. The abandonment of all action fruits, the wise call abandonment. That it must be abandoned as sinful, some wise men say of action. That actions of worship, gift, and austerity must not be abandoned, say others. Hear my decision in this matter of abandonment, best of Bharatas. For abandonment, O man-tiger, is reputed to be threefold. Acts of worship, gift, and austerity must not be abandoned, but rather performed. Worship, gift, and austerity are purifiers of the wise. However, these actions with abandonment of attachment and fruits must be performed. This, Sanaprita, is my definite and highest judgment. But abandonment of a religiously required action is not seemly. Abandonment thereof owing to delusion is reputed to be of the nature of darkness. Just because it is troublesome, what action one abandons through fear of bodily affliction, such a man performs an abandonment that is of the nature of passion. By no means shall he get any fruit of this abandonment. Simply because it ought to be done, when action that is religiously required is performed, Arjuna, abandoning attachment and fruit, that abandonment is held to be of goodness. He loathes not disagreeable action, nor does he cling to agreeable action. The man of abandonment, who is filled with goodness, wise, whose doubts are destroyed. For a body-bearing soul cannot abandon actions without remainder. But he who abandons the fruit of action is called the man of true abandonment. Undesired, desired, and mixed, threefold is the fruit of action that ensues after death for those who are not men of abandonment, but never for men of renunciation. O great armed one, these 5 factors learn from me, which are declared in the reason method doctrine for the effective performance of all actions. The material basis, the agent too, and the instruments of various sorts, and the various motions of several kinds, and just fate as the 5th of them. With body, speech, or mind, whatever action a man undertakes, whether it be lawful or the reverse, these are its 5 factors. This being so, as agents herein, whoso, however, the self alone regards, because his intelligence is imperfect, he does not see truly the fool, whose state of mind is not egoized, whose intelligence is not stained. He, even though he slays these folk, does not slay, and is not bound by his actions. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, the knower, form the threefold impellent cause of action. Instrument, action, and the agent form the threefold summary of action. Knowledge and action and the agent are of just 3 kinds according to different strands. So it is declared in the theory of the strands. Hear of them also how they are, whereby in all beings one unchanging condition men perceive, unmanifold in the manifold. Know that the knowledge is of goodness. But what knowledge in various fashion, different conditions of various sorts, sees in all beings, know that that knowledge is of passion. But what knowledge to one, as if it were all, thing to be done is attached, unconcerned with causes, not dealing with the true nature of things, and insignificant, that is declared to be of darkness. Obligatory, free from attachment, done without desire or loathing, by one who seeks no fruit from it. Action such as this is called of goodness. But action which is by one seeking desires, or again by one who is selfish, is done with much weary labor. That is declared to be of passion. Consequences, loss, injury to others, and one's own human power disregarding, owing to delusion. When action is undertaken, it is declared to be of darkness. Free from attachment, not talking of himself, full of steadfastness and energy, unchanged in success or failure, such an agent is called one of goodness. Passionate, seeking the fruits of action, greedy, injurious, impure, full of joy and grief, such an agent is celebrated as one of passion. Undisciplined, vulgar, arrogant, tricky, dishonest, lazy, despondent, and procrastinating, such an agent is said to be of darkness. The distinction of intelligence and of firmness also, threefold according to the Strands, here fully expounded in their several forms, Dhanamjaya. Activity and cessation from it, things to be done and not to be done, danger and security, bondage and release. That which knows these is the intelligence that is of goodness, Sanaprita, whereby right and unright, and things to be done and not to be done are understood incorrectly. That intelligence, Sanaprita, is of passion. Right and unright, what conceives, obscured by darkness, and all things contrary to the truth. That intelligence, Sanaprita, is of darkness. The firmness with which one holds fast the activities of the mind, life breaths and senses, and which is unswerving in discipline, that firmness is of goodness, Sanaprita. But when to religion, love, and wealth, with firmness he holds fast, Arjuna, with attachment, desirous of the fruits, that firmness is of passion, Sanaprita, whereby sleep, fear, sorrow, despondency, and pride, the foolish man does not let go. That firmness is of darkness, Sanaprita. But now, the threefold happiness here for me, Bulabharatas, that in which he comes to delight through long practices and comes to the end of suffering, which in the beginning is like poison, but in maturity like nectar. That is called the happiness of goodness, sprung from serenity of soul and of intellect, springing from union of the senses and their objects. That which in the beginning is like nectar, in maturity like poison. That happiness is recorded as of passion, which both in the beginning and in its consequence is a happiness that deludes the self, arising from sleep, sloth, and heedlessness. That is declared to be of darkness. There is no thing, whether on earth or yet in heaven among the gods, no being which free from the material nature-born strands these three might be, of Brahmins, warriors, and artisans, and of serfs, scorcher of the foe. The actions are distinguished according to the strands that spring from their innate nature. Calm, self-control, austerities, purity, patience, and uprightness, theoretical and practical knowledge, and religious faith are the natural-born actions of Brahmins. Heroism, majesty, firmness, skill, and not fleeing in battle also. Generosity and lordly nature are the natural-born actions of warriors. Agriculture, cattle tending, and commerce are the natural-born actions of artisans. Action that consists of service is likewise natural-born to a serf. Taking delight in his own special kind of action, a man attains perfection. Delighting in one's own special action, success, how one reaches, that here, whence comes the activity of beings by whom this is all pervaded, him worshipping by doing one's own appropriate action, a man attains perfection. Better one's own duty, even imperfect, than another's duty well performed. Action pertaining to his own estate, performing, he incurs no guilt. Natural-born action, son of Kunti, even though it be faulty, one should not abandon, for all undertakings by faults are dimmed as fire by smoke. His mentality unattached to any object, self-conquered, free from longings, to the supreme perfection of actionlessness, he comes through renunciation. Having attained perfection, how to Brahman he also attains, hear from me. In only brief compass, son of Kunti, which is the highest accumulation of knowledge, with purified mentality disciplined and restraining himself with firmness, abandoning the objects of sense, sounds, and the rest, and putting away desire and loathing, cultivating solitude, eating lightly, restraining speech, body, and mind, devoted to the discipline of meditation constantly, taking refuge in dispassion, from egotism, force, pride, desire, wrath, and possession, freed, unselfish, calmed, he is fit for becoming Brahman. Having become Brahman, serene-souled, he neither gives nor longs. Alike to all beings, he attains supreme devotion to me. Through devotion, he comes to know me, what my measure is and who I am in very truth. Then, knowing me in very truth, he enters into me straightway. Even though all actions ever he performs, relying on me, by my grace he reaches the eternal, undying station. With thy thoughts all actions casting upon me, devoted to me, turning to discipline of mentality, keeping thy mind ever fixed on me. If thy mind is on me, all difficulties thou shalt cross over by my grace. But if through egotism thou wilt not heed, thou shalt perish. If clinging to egotism thou thinkest, I will not fight, vain is thy resolve. Thine own material nature will coerce thee. Son of Kunti, by thine own natural action held fast, what through delusion thou seekest not to do, that thou shalt do even against thy will. Of all beings, the Lord in the heart abides, Arjuna, causing all beings to turn around as if fixed by a machine, by his magic power. To him alone go for refuge. With thy whole being, son of Bharata, by his grace, supreme peace, and the eternal station shalt thou attain. Thus to thee has been expounded the knowledge that is more secret than secret by me. After pondering on it fully, act as thou thinkest best. Further, the highest secret of all, my supreme message here, because thou art greatly loved of me. Therefore I shall tell thee what is good for thee. Be me-minded, devoted to me, worshipping me, revere me, and to me alone thou shalt go. Truly to thee I promise it, because thou art dear to me. Abandoning all other duties, go to me as thy sole refuge. From all evils I thee shall rescue. Be not grieved. This on thy part to no one, not endowed with austerity, nor ever to one not devoted, nor to one not obedient must be told, nor to one who murmurs against me. Whoso this supreme secret shall make known to my devotees, showing utmost devotion to me, shall go just to me without a doubt. And not than he among men is there any who does things more pleasing to me, nor shall there be than he to me any other dearer on earth. And whoso shall study this colloquy on duty between us two, by him with knowledge worship I would be worshipped, so I hold. With faith, and not murmuring against it, what man even hears it, he too shall be released, and the fair worlds of men of virtuous deeds shall he attain. Has this been heard, Senaprita, by thee with concentrated thought? Has the confusion of ignorance in thee been destroyed, Dhananjaya? Arjuna said, destroyed the confusion, attention to the truth is won by thy grace on my part, O changeless one. I stand firm with doubts dispersed. I shall do thy word. Samjaya said, thus I, of Vasudeva, and the exalted son of Pritha, this colloquy have heard, marvelous and thrilling. By the grace of Vyasa have I heard this supreme secret, this discipline from Krishna, the Lord of discipline, speaking it himself in very person. O King, as I recall again and again this marvelous colloquy, and wholly of Kasava and Arjuna, I thrill with joy at every moment. And as I recall again and again that most wondrous form of Hare, great is my amazement, O King, and I thrill with joy again and again. Where is Krishna, the Lord of discipline? And where is the bowman, the son of Pritha? There, fortune, victory, prosperity, and statecraft are firmly fixed, I ween. Here ends the 18th chapter called Discipline of Renunciation unto Salvation. And thus the end of the Bhagavad Gita.